Had a little listen to his podcast, huh?
Dude, it's educational. And besides, I've been wanting to listen to this one.
Welcome to Idling in the Impala, a podcast by and for lovers of supernatural and the fan fiction it inspires. Before we begin, just want to remind you to like, subscribe, and follow wherever you listen to us so you don't miss any episodes or bonus stuff that we do. I'm Sandra.
I'm Karlee, and today, at time of recording, the finale of the Winchesters has just aired. We didn't watch it together because we both have husbands that are kind of into the show. So Sandra very kindly went, "Can you just record some audio for me? Like, I want your unfiltered reaction." So this episode will be us listening to that audio, discussing it, discussing the show, our thoughts on how it ended, blah, 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 blah. All that good stuff. I mean, it probably won't come out for a few weeks, so we'll be behind the times, but we're recording it in a timely manner. So, yeah, let's get into it, guys.
So Sandra said I would have about 5 minutes before she wanted some audio, but we are 1 minute and 6 seconds in, and there is that voice. It's been a long couple of years, but there we go. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ, his hair, the beard, the turtle, fucking hell! Genuinely. A little bit well done.
What was that?
It's been...
I knew I was going to say that, and I still had a drink in my mouth. It's camera turned round, and he was there. Look, his hair and the beard, and he was wearing that turtleneck that didn't fit in with anything Dean had ever worn in his life. But fucking hell. Right, okay. Let me drink and then I'll stop.
You know what was funny? I mean, everybody kept talking about it after. Like, people kept pointing it out. Like, the man likes to play dress up. Like, the different times he's time traveled, he's been full on into it. So the fact that people were, I get it, you were expecting flannel and you're expecting the hair, and, you know, at the end of the day, there's no way Jensen was going to just cut it all off to Dean length unless it was for a long period of time, right? Like, if there's a reboot, of course, then, you know, I think he might, maybe he won't, he might still stick with the hair he's got going on now. He might cut it then, but yeah, everything I didn't get, people were talking about, I definitely got Robert Redford vibes, but I got more. They were talking about, I think, is it 3 Days of the Condor? I can't remember if that was the movie, but that's definitely like the look. But I just kept thinking about The Way We Were, because I've watched that movie quite a few times with like Barbara Streisand and stuff. And he just gave me that 70s vibe there. Like, right away, it was just like, he's fitting in, you know? So... Yeah. All right. I'm going to start up again.
So long. Yes. Like, I know we had Dean, like, in the first, like, at the end of the pilot with the car and stuff, but it's been so long. Okay, moving on.
Not all
she
right.
said...
That was not all right. You could cut, like, about 30 seconds of that out.
Oh my gosh. So I was expecting him to pop up, right? So it's like, I guess I was still very much actually like, because he didn't talk in the pilot, right? Like, I mean, he had the narration, but
stuff,
it wasn't him
with the journal
speaking. So yeah, I think that first moment, I think I clutched Ted's arm because I was sitting next to him for it the first time we watched it, and I wasn't taking notes. I should have, but there was no way I was going to, because I just wanted to kind of, like, you know, take it in and stuff like that too. And then I think Ted was, well, we'll get to it, because I'm assuming you had a reaction when the other person showed up as well.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what's happening then.
At 5 minutes, that was like less than 2, unless something else is going to happen in the next 3 minutes. It might do. Let's see. Oh God, there was more. Okay. Oh my God, what the fuck? All right. Initial thoughts. I'm leaning massively towards my Dean is in heaven killing time until Sam gets here theme, which ties in quite nicely with Bobby being there. Quick question though. If this is meant to be post 15-20 Dean, I don't think Dean Winchester has ever seen a turtleneck sweater in his entire fucking life. Like, ever. But he's dressed up like Jensen, and Bobby's out here looking like Bobby. So, yeah, I got questions about that. But yeah, not even 5 minutes, 2.5 minutes. She was still wrong. What the fuck else is going to happen, Sandra, in the next 2.5 minutes, woman? Yeah, wow. Talk about a fucking gut punch. I got mad when Supernatural used to do that to me. They killed Bobby off and then they'd bring him back just regularly enough that I'd remember how devastated I was by his death. So, ow, my feelings, what the fuck?
I said 5 minutes, but I didn't have it like timed. I just knew that in the intro that was going to happen.
In the intro, before the Winchesters title screen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which they changed up, which I thought was cute too. Like they really made a point of having it fit what was happening in the episode, even though you didn't know about it. Yeah, it's totally different. It's a different, at least I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I will look back at like another episode. But the fact that they added the lights and like all the stuff that mimics time travel, like, you know, that like the special effects in it that way that they had.
Yeah.
I do not believe they had that. It just looked different than in previous episodes. So yeah, as soon as I saw Bobby, even though I was hoping, I was like, there isn't going to be Cass here. I said every time there's no Cass, they stick Bobby in there. And I was like, I felt so bad for Jim Beaver. I'm like, he's going to get so much hate for being the one that they bring back again and not Cass. Because that's what kept popping into my head. I love
Cass is busy.
Him. I know, but I loved seeing him. I loved seeing Bobby.
I loved it.
That was when Ted was like, you were so excited. It's like,
yeah, you wait till we get to the other end of this episode. And the other person comes up. I think my note is, oh God, I wish I was recording because I screamed.
I missed probably like 30 seconds of their conversation, Bobby and Dean, when I saw Bobby. I was just so excited to see him. I love Jim Beaver. I just think I love Jim. He's so great. I think it says a lot too that, you know, Jensen, Daniil, and the other producers of the show want to bring back so many people, you know what I mean? In a way that kind of makes sense. But then I think I'll get to it too, how it kind of like pissed me off thinking back to one episode in particular that we talked about that I like the connection. I like that there's a connection that they can play with in the show.
Yeah.
You know, that's no holds barred. The Supernatural didn't really pay attention to rules either. And it was just nice. It was just nice to see it. And that got me like, okay, what's going to happen? So do you remember which part you spoke again, or was it more towards the end? Or did you have more stuff?
Oh, no, I spoke all the way through. I kept pausing it all the way through.
Okay. All right. I guess, so are you going to talk about the Akrita too?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Okay. Good.
Oh, yeah. I got feelings about that.
Okay. Good. All right. Let's see.
Yep.
Parallel from John freaking the fuck out about learning Sam was going to college to Samuel being like, Mary, what the fuck? You said you were going to college. I was going to write this down on a notepad, but it just felt more expedient to just say it out loud.
Interesting. Yeah.
Did you not pick that up?
I didn't. I was still trying to think. I think they went right in like after, and I saw Tom Welling, and I was like, I mean, I did get which is a little weird, right? Because Sam, so who do you think's more gung-ho hunter in the family? Do you think it's Deanna more than Samuel? Because we haven't even seen her yet, and we just know she's off doing something, whatever. So, like, I just felt like Mary was so like, I have to do this. You know, it's what my family's always done. I guess for some reason, I would have thought. I'm trying to think back to Samuel too in Supernatural, and I just see that's the thing. It's a different Samuel. So I have to stop thinking that way. That's what keeps messing me up, is that I keep thinking about the characters in that timeline. It's different.
I think this Samuel, I think because Mary's cousin died, I think maybe that gave him a little bit of a reality shock. And he's kind of maybe slightly more accepting of Mary wanting to leave the life. And also he knows what kind of danger she was in trying to find him. So maybe he's like, oh, if I let it go, you know, I'll be completely honest with you. I don't think there's any deeper meaning. I think they were just like, John kicks off about Sam going to college. Let's just parallel that. You know, I don't think there's any deeper character meaning behind it. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering. Go ahead.
I get a lot of Sam vibes from Drake. I think it's because he's so tall. I genuinely think that's all it is. But he reminds me a lot of Sam. So, and I've always got Sam on the brain anyway.
Yeah.
And especially with this, because I was like, oh, there better be a good fucking reason he's not here. Oh, there better either be surprised Jared or there better be a good reason.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Why are you like this? Sorry.
I think that, Drake definitely, I think I lean more Sam for Drake in certain instances and more Dean for Mary. But then I also feel like Drake is a really great blend of the both of Sam and Dean, I think, at different times, especially like with the I don't know, like the hot-headedness and stuff like that. I feel like sometimes that can go either way. Like I feel like that could go Dean or Sam depending on the situation. But definitely more Dean usually. Where, I don't know, Mary seems a little more, she's definitely more wishy-washy about what she wants to do because I think she's got the chances that Dean never had with school and all of those other things. It is very interesting that you can see different parts of them at different times in these two characters. I do like that. I really do like. Drake Rogers is just great. I love him. He's such a big puppy dog. I love it. I do. I love
him. I do also think that's what it is. That he reminds me so much of young Jared. He's just a big dumb puppy dog, and I'm like, oh, mate.
Yeah, if you watch season 1, it's just like, I mean, he doesn't look exactly like him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Drake's got better hair. It's 2023. It's better. I think whatever you might think about Mary as a character, I am not a fan of Mary as a character in the Winchesters. You can't deny that Meg and Drake put the fucking legwork in to be such good. Because you can't say, oh, John's like Sam and Mary's like Dean. They're both really good amalgamations of both. You could be like, oh, that's where Dean got that from, or that's where Sam got that from, or that's why they're like this, or that's it. It's like looking at Colin Ford when he played Sam, or that other actor who played. There was a few that played Dean.
Yeah. Dylan Everett. I think the one is the one I like the most.
Yeah,
I felt like he really did it.
They've really studied them. You can tell that like Drake and Meg spoke to Jared and Jensen at length about Sam and Dean and who they were and, you know, what do they think they might have got and factored that into playing John and Mary, which is, you know, I'm here for that.
I feel like Drake too, like just a little bit from what I've gotten from the cons and stuff, I feel like if he wasn't a fan of Supernatural before, I feel like he became like a fan of the show. So I don't know if he watched some of it before or like once his homework was, I've got to learn how to be John Winchester. He just, you know, started going through the show and I think became invested in the characters too. I like that. I like that you've got background that people work with. Because some people like, you know, if they guest star, if they've got to do, they kind of want to do their own thing, or some people will do the homework. And some people just like, well, I just popped in for this one episode. You know, I don't know anything about the show, which is understandable. Like, you know, you're going from job to job to job. But because he's inhabiting such a complicated character too with the fandom, And Meg too, having to do Mary. Like there's so much back and forth with these two characters. They had so much, I think, to kind of overcome too with the show before they even popped up on screen.
I think you could definitely say it for Drake. You probably could say it for Meg as well, but I'm pretty anti this Mary as well as anti Supernatural's Mary. But for Drake, certainly, it doesn't look like when he was looking at Supernatural, he was looking at John. It looks to me like he was looking at Sam and Dean and thinking, where could they get those things from? You know, he wasn't trying to be a young Jeffrey Dean Morgan's John. He was trying to be like the prefix, the prequel to Sam and Dean as we know them, which I think is an interesting way to look at it, because I know a lot of actors would probably just come in and go, okay, just watch like Jeff's episodes and go, okay, that's who John is, and just be done with it, you know?
Yeah. I also still think that Jensen was like, just study Jared. I feel like he's like, study Jared.
This is what you need, baby. You are the same age as Jared. You have better hair. I'm sorry, Jared. You have to admit, season 1 and 2, not the best. You have to admit that. Oh God, here we go again. He's in downtown traffic in Austin. This is a nightmare. But he's the same age that Jared was when he signed on to Supernatural. And I think he spent a long time talking to them. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. I think it's probably, this is the bit, it's either just been or it's coming up or whatever. I'm a huge fan of John's grief beard in this episode. I really like it. It's a much better grief beard than Sam's. Sam's was a great grief beard. Don't come at me. I love season 14 of Sam's grief beard. But John's, it suited Drake's face really well.
Okay.
He's got the kind of face that lends to that kind of beard.
Okay.
But also, if you compare John in the first episode to John in the last episode, he's got more unhinged as the show has gone on. And it's been subtle, but it's not the same John when you look at the pilot to the finale. And I like that. Hello.
Do you feel like there was a big difference when in this episode where they actually did go back to the time when Dean gave John the letter? Do you feel like that Drake played it well too?
Yeah.
Like showing the difference, like I can't say growth, like you said, it's like the unhinged, like, with the knowledge.
It's a regression, if anything. It's regression. But no, I think even like that sort of flashback at the start, he's got that kind of like, not like wide-eyed youngster, because he'd just come back from Vietnam. He wasn't, but he'd got that kind of almost
it's more morose, and morose, and like, the lost is good, but morose, sad, where I feel like it's definitely, it's tinged with more stuff now, and maybe it's because I can't say letting himself experience the stuff, but the stuff is just coming up, and I think has less control too over his reactions to a lot of things. I think he's just letting himself not tamp it down maybe as much. It's bubbling up more, at times when you can't control it. No, I definitely see that too.
A note I'd written down here, because obviously it was the start of the episode and we didn't know how it was going to shake out at the end, but I was like, in this episode, this finale, he's closer to the John that we see at the start of Supernatural. Just push it all to one side, focus, one goal. We're not thinking about anything else. We're certainly not dealing with emotions. Fuck no. No, not here for that. Just really single-minded, completely throw yourself into a distraction. And obviously we know it doesn't shake out like that. As in, it's not the same John. But I just felt like, I remember talking to you about the pilot and being like, I like this John and I don't want to like this John, but he's so different from our John. And now I'm like, oh no, he's getting there. There's been a change. Like you said, it's not growth. It's a regression, if anything. It's definitely got worse. But that was just, I just wanted to talk about the grief beard really, but then I was like, but also it ties into this. I can draw parallels.
Keep on rambling. Playing in the background when Samuel, John, and Mary go to the bar to meet.
Oh
Joan
my
Hopkins,
God, no!
Which is one of the worst.
I literally, I rewound that 3 times because I was like, I recognize that song.
Mm-hmm.
Rewound it once, like 10 seconds, got the line, and I was like, that's Radio Company. I fucking know that song. I know that line. And I couldn't think of the next line. So rewound it again. And I was like, oh, it's Keep On Rambling. I know that song. Boom. How good am I? I could pick Radio Company out with one fucking lyric. And then, like 30 seconds afterwards, it was playing like the full song in the background. And I was like, I didn't need to rewind it that many times. But I immediately, like, just from the sort of the faint strains as they come in the door, I was like, I know that music. I know that music.
Yeah.
And that now makes a whole lot more sense why they released a video of the Winchesters bloopers.
My husband just shook his head when I told him. I said, oh, it's Radio Company. He's just like, of course you would know. And I'm like,
yeah, I think my husband was the same. I think he was just like, okay, and I was like, you don't understand. But yeah, no, I was a fan of that. I like it. I like the fact that because he's never overt about it.
Yeah,
we like whoever edited that video just put the song to the Winchesters bloopers, and we were like, oh, that's because he was filming the Winchesters when he was recording the album. That's nice. And then later on, you find out that actually, no, that's not. I like it.
Absolutely, we'll get to the end part, but this definitely was foreshadowing as to how musically anyway it was going to end. And again, like you don't realize it until you get to the end and then you piece it all together. But I was just like,
I was just really proud because I was like, he's got his music into his 2 TV shows. Yeah. And he got it into his brother's TV show as well. I'm such a fan of this.
Yeah.
I was just really proud. I was like, yes, keep making music. Keep making country music because everyone hates it and I love it.
Oh gosh. Okay, let's see.
Just character names of anybody that's ever been made ever.
Joan Hopkins.
But yeah, I only had to rewind that once and be like, it's Radio Company. I know these things. That's what I do. I know things. Also, I'm a huge fan of the fact that we're on the last episode and Latta has made the change from according to the legends to Sam's catchphrase of according to the law. I like that. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I like that too. I definitely got Sam vibes when she said that.
Yeah. Was it just me though, or did you notice her? I don't know what her natural accent is, but it isn't the accent she does in the Winchesters. And over the last few episodes, she's been falling out of it quite a lot to my ear.
Okay.
Did you not get that?
I didn't.
Oh.
I just find it interesting the way everybody says her name seems to change between how everybody says it. Like Joan Hopkins was saying it, inflecting it a little differently. I felt like than maybe other people on the show do for whatever reason.
This is Nevada again.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds just a little different to me when depending on who's saying it. I did like that Carlos thought Dean was rugged.
Yes. I was like, oh my God, yes, give me that. Obviously, they were never going to do that because, Jens Jensen wouldn't first start off.
No.
But, hashtag team Dean loss. Dean loss.
Kareen?
Dallas.
Carleen?
Oh, Karleen, I like that.
Carleen?
I quite like Dallas as well.
Yeah.
I like Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cute. And then they just kept, then I think Lotta was like, well, Mr. Ruggedly Handsome has to do this and this. And I was just like, oh. But yeah, so the one thing I was getting about the lore too, then again, I know it's not the same situation, but I don't know if like soul rules still apply. And I don't know if I got the same vibe when Jack lost part of his soul, right? He had to give up some of his soul. Wasn't it too that he wouldn't lose more of it unless he used his magic? So I guess that's different if you're talking about a human and a little piece of their soul being lost. Because I know that Lotta was like, according to lore, if you lose a piece of your soul, the rest fades away. And I didn't get that. I don't know if we ever experienced that with a human where they just lost part of it. Because I felt like it was either all or nothing, like with the darkness or whatever. Like she would just take
Yeah,
it all.
It was all or nothing. But
Mhm.
they were acting like this was a death sentence.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've seen loads of people lose their soul. It's fine. They just fuck a lot. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But
again, like they haven't dealt with it before, so they don't have all the knowledge that we do.
Yeah, we know. We know.
Okay, let's see.
Just speculating. John's journal in present day Supernatural. Was it the one that Dean started in 72? Kind of looks familiar. I was so into this.
Look at you.
Yeah, I know things. That's what I do. I know things. I speculate.
It would have been, again, there's certain things that I was like, nah, but it technically, in this timeline does become that where I guess my heart wanted it to be like our John and Mary, like, our timeline thing. And as it kept going on, I was realizing it probably wasn't. So I like how it ended,
I wasn't sure, even right up until the end. And my husband was like, well, of course it's not our John and Mary. They talked about the multiverse. And I'm like, it's heaven. He could time travel. You don't know. He went and Googled it and he was like, the creator has said it's not our John and Mary. And
yeah.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And our Ted had guessed it, I think a few episodes back. He's like, honey, I don't think it's not our place. It's not their earth. It's not whatever's going on. I'm like, no. It's like, I don't think so.
No, I want it. But that, I'm okay with it because that answers my big question of, excuse me, hi, you appear to have forgotten a fucking crucial character. What is happening? And then they explain it at the end, like, oh no, he's still alive.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine. And I said right back at the beginning, that was the only way I would accept this without Sam, and that's fine.
I was very glad about that. I was happy to hear all those things too.
Oh, because you didn't want to hear my absolute howling rage.
I did not want the rage. I was like, please, Jensen.
Jensen, please. I love that. Like, not even that you didn't want it to be that way for like yourself of the story. Just like, oh, they will not shut up about this. It'll be like when he cut his hair all over again. Well, they'll sulk for like a week.
But we even said when we were talking about it, like after we watched the pilot, like it doesn't, like there has to be a reason why Sam wasn't there. That would have to make sense because in any way, shape, or form, Sam would have been a part of this. So yeah, I didn't want it to not be Dean in heaven waiting, even if it was just waiting for Sam or just biding time or just trying to fuck with some shit. Like I just wanted, that part was a please don't not have that be the thing. So if I had to be upset about it not being, their universe, their world that he was in, I was okay with that. It wasn't what I wanted to have happen, but it was much better than, oh, it's another Dean or it's a different thing or he's any of that other stuff. So I'm glad that it was Dean heaven. And again, I feel like, putting Bobby in there in the beginning immediately gives you that, oh, like it's Dean in heaven because they ended it with, Dean seeing Bobby in heaven. Yeah. Like that was who met him there. So that was a good tie-in, and that made it easier for people. I'm always curious if there's anybody who's just watching the Winchesters that has never watched Supernatural. That's my other question too. Like, is there anybody who's just watching it?
I don't think you could.
I mean, I think you could watch it. You just wouldn't get all of the you wouldn't get a lot of the Easter egg stuff, but
yeah, you wouldn't get a lot of the references. And also, if you went on to watch Supernatural, you'd be really pissed. You'd be like,
well,
but that's not how that works.
But then
why is it like this?
But now if it ends up being, like how they've tied it up, right? Like, it's not the same, but this definitely could get, I think it's very smart in a way because it can bring new fandom, younger fandom into kind of like how Star Trek, like that kind of like those kinds of different things. Like you plug something, you put something in, and that gets people interested in the world and how things can work, and then throws it in there. Now, you do get spoiled because they mention Chuck and things like that. So, if you're not used to, or if you don't know anything about Supernatural, then once you see Chuck, you get a completely different take on it. But I find that so interesting, like looking at it from the eyes of somebody who may be watching the Winchesters first, no knowledge of Supernatural, or knowing about it, but not all of the stuff about it. And then puts them into, okay, well, I guess I might as well watch 15 seasons of this show now that I really liked what was happening here. I don't know if they would like Supernatural as much, but I feel like they probably would, like I feel like if you like this world, you're going to like Supernatural. Maybe not the first, even the first season. I think it definitely evolves and changes, but yeah.
Yeah, the first season is more, the first couple of seasons are more in line with the Winchesters in terms of like the monster of the week stuff and the very clear boundaries between human and monster that get blurred and eventually vanish in the later seasons of Supernatural.
Yeah.
No, I think it probably will bring some new people to the fandom, which can only be a good thing. They'll bring new arguments. They'll have new things to fight about. I don't know about you, but I'm bored of fighting about the same things. Let's have something new. That is a joke. Me and Sandra do not engage in fandom fighting.
No, it's just too much. It's too much. It's not worth it. Yeah. All right, let's see.
You do you, and we'll do us. And if we meet anywhere, that's great. And if we don't, also great.
It's okay. All right, let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
I was like, no, good finale. We're 10 minutes in, and we're back to the Accredia demons, but not really. Fuck my life. Is this
okay? I was so confused. I mean, I literally have like 2 pages of trying to figuring out. So Joan is the queen, but she's not really Accredia. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I mean, I did write down
Joan took in the monster essence on Earth, which made her more powerful. And then she got yeeted out into wherever, and she turned up at the Accredia, which I'm assuming the Accredia themselves are the bugs.
Yeah.
But she showed up there, and they were like, "Oh, you're really powerful, fucking sweet."
Yeah.
And they made her the queen or whatever. But no, Joan is the queen of the Accredia, but she's not Accredia herself.
Right, she's hunter lineage, and yeah, I definitely felt. So this is as we learned more stuff about, who was in charge, who created everything and everything. Her storyline was just straight Chuck when she started like talking about how lost her family to the cause. She lost somebody named William, which I don't know if that's gonna be a thing that comes back, but like monsters weren't the problem. Humans always needed saving, and then humans are just food.
Oh, I thought that was I might have mentioned it, but I thought that was really fucking weak as the villain plotline goes. Like,
and again, it felt like Chuck. It felt like a Chuck plotline. So it was just like it felt like like sticking the same sort of themes in a blender, but just coming up with a different way to present it. So it did feel so Chuckish to me.
Yeah, hitting randomize on the Spotify playlist just to see what shakes up first. Yeah.
The monster essence. Did I miss this? Was there monster essence talked about in the episode?
Yeah, it was like about 4. The first few monster of the weeks had the first few episodes with the monster of the weeks. It had the Accredia coming after they'd killed whatever it was to take the essence
Okay.
and take it back to the queen. So yeah, no, it was.
I totally forgot about that.
It was a thing, and I thought that was a pretty cool, like, Accreta thing to have. Like, oh, they're these new monsters. Let's give them something new and different. And then they were like, haha, psych. Hunters did it first. Like,
kind of like they now that I'm remembering now, like they take it so they get that power from the different types of monsters. Okay, so it kind of feels a little bit like, was that one show I used to watch, like Heroes, where it was like this one dude could like get everybody else's. I guess this is a normal trope that a lot of different superhero things do, where like you can get someone else's power and then
but it wasn't
feed off of it.
It wasn't really a thing that we'd seen in Supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh yeah, no, interesting, new monster, interesting, and then they ruined it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. When they started talking a little bit more about the Accreta towards the end too, I kind of got, the fact that they were like Chuck's cleaning crew or whatever, like he would like, when he was done or whatever, even though that was never mentioned before. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you talk about this in a comment too, like when we got to the end of Supernatural, Chuck's episode, at that point it was told to the boys that there were no more Earths left, right? So that they had been all taken care of. But then this implies there was at least still this one and ours. So
see, I think Jack put everything back. I think Chuck probably did destroy all the other Earths.
Even all of the other Earths. Okay, interesting. Okay.
But I think Jack put it back. Because if you tie it into what he says at the end about no meddling, that would kind of track.
That's interesting.
It was my understanding that he'd restored all the...
So do you think he did it right away? Or do you think he did it like as soon as he snapped his fingers at the end of 19, everything everywhere went back, like not even just on this Earth, but everywhere? That's your... Yeah. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I didn't think about that. I'm just very, very focused on the whole one thing. I didn't think about
this one. Our one. Fuck the other ones. This one. Yeah, no, that's fair.
But so then anything remaining of Chuck's would have still... God, then does that mean there's so many other... Oh, this just opens everything up then, doesn't it? To the multiverse situation. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I think I could tie my theory neatly in a bow. Jack could only fix what he knew. Mm-hmm. Jack was with the Winchesters. He heard Chuck say that he destroyed all the other Earths. He knew that. But if he didn't know about the Accreta, couldn't fix it. Mm-hmm. So.
And then when Joan was talking about the portal not being quite up to code, this is a while back, like when we first meet her. So does she just end up being like sort of like the Abaddon version of it? We're like able to like open up like from that time period or way back, like that sort of portal to... See, when did we get, aside from what Jack could do, like, right, because Jack and the like with Archangel Grace, you could open up a portal to different worlds, different universes. But the thing I remember, Abaddon and then Henry Winchester doing to time travel, that was just, I thought, just within the world that you were in. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't think it was something you could do. So again, it says a portal not up to code. So something they could have still been messing with at the time. But I don't think there was ever mention of something that could do that. I know they had the telescope that could see like the different universes at the Men of Letters. So maybe that was something that just wasn't, talked about, that they could just shoehorn in later on. So yeah.
I think we can probably wrap that up and being like, we know what powers we have, humans, demons, whatever, but we don't really know what powers the Accreta had. Mm-hmm. Maybe it was something that they could do to open up the portals between both time and worlds. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They kind of remind me of, and I know you're not a Stephen King fan, but the storyline reminded me of like the Langoliers, the things that kind of eat up the past and stuff like that. So I kind of got that sort of vibe from the Accreta when it was explained a little bit more, like when it was no longer needed, it's like they had to get rid of stuff. So they combusted and, needed to just take things down, even though yeah, it felt like if that's what they were meant for, they definitely sort of got their own plans in mind. Because it feels like, with Joan there, they had other.
Maybe Joan wasn't planned for.
Like everything else. Yeah.
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe Chuck just had like the monster equivalent of a nuke. You can't undo a nuke. You just you let it go and it does what it's going to do. So I think he was like, and I have this failsafe and it's fine. And I don't think he would maybe counted for Joan. But again, this was the best and worst thing the supernatural writers ever fucking did.
Because it still feels so Chuckish, like her storyline. Yeah, it still feels like her storyline just feels like Chuckish. Like, and then like a way to get to the Winchester. You know what I mean? Like, still it was getting.
When did Chuck make the Accretor? Were they always there? Were they always his failsafe for? Because he kept making worlds, didn't he? He made ours, and then he was like, I'm bored with this. I'm gonna make a different one. So, did he create the Accretor as the first failsafe in case everything went catastrophically wrong? Probably not, because he was supposed to be the all-powerful god. It's more likely when the Winchesters season sort of 15, maybe, when they were like, no, we're coming for you. He made them then and kind of retconned them into existence. Yeah. Because
what about the squirrel world? I feel so bad about the squirrels having to deal with the Accretor. Because didn't he make a squirrel world? He made a squirrel world.
Probably. Squirrels. But I think if he had the power to make the Accretor, surely he would have the power to set them off.
Yeah.
So why would he just start them on any random world? Why wouldn't he set them into our world? Maybe he didn't have that kind of power.
Yeah.
Because that was Dean's thing, wasn't it? He was like, I have to stop them before they get to... Sam is still down there. I have to fix this before it gets to my world. I don't know.
Yeah.
I swear to God, one of the best and worst things Supernatural ever did was make it be canon that Chuck had been writing the stories all along. Because now you don't know what is. Is this a fact, or is it just something Chuck has written?
Yeah.
It makes you question everything. And on the one hand, that's fucking great. But it's so lazy. Because every question you have, the writers can turn around and go, no, it might have been Chuck. And you're like, I need to know.
Yeah.
My gut is that Chuck didn't make the Accretor until the Winchesters made it known that they were going to come and take him down. Jack didn't know about the Accretor, so when he fixed things, he didn't know to fix that. Why he didn't fix it once he did know, because he knew why Dean was there. And he was like, you can't be here. I specifically said no. And Dean was like, but they're going to be in my world. And Sam. So if Jack... Why
maybe it's
Jack
his hard and fast rule of not meddling, and it's even to the point of however I'm setting everything back, I can't interfere. Maybe that's what it is too.
Because Dean did say he didn't change anything. He just gave it a nudge. So you have to assume John would have met Mary in some way in that world. And the events would still have come to pass the same way. Dean just gave it a little push down the road.
They still didn't answer the question about the letter. How did Dean get the letter? Like, I still feel like how did he get the letter from Henry? Did he write that letter? Or did he actually go to Henry, dead Henry, have him write the letter to give to John? Like, was that still going to be a thing where he was going to get that letter from Henry no matter what? Or did Dean interfere with that part?
I don't know. I think Dean probably did the letter, because I just have this feeling if Dean hadn't given him that letter, because the letter had absolutely no bearing on John and Mary bumping into each other outside the cinema. All it did was put them back together that night when John's looking for the thing, looking for the address, and she's looking for the demon. So it had no bearing on them meeting. It just put them on the same path. So I think without the letter, they still probably would have met. Things might have just taken a little bit longer to get rolling, but I feel like it would have still shook out the same way. Whereas with the letter, Dean kind of shoved them together a bit quicker.
So you think he wrote the letter?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I'm going to say I think he went and found Henry and was like, here, do me a solid. I'm related to you.
Let us know. Let us know. Are you team Dean wrote the letter or team Dean got the letter from Henry? Let us know. Yeah. I think that sounds like a lot of work for Dean. I feel like Dean would have just written it down and just been like,
hello. Dean's been doing I would say Dean's been doing a lot of work. He loves hunting. He loves all this stuff. I could totally see him. If you're going with the whole vibe of, again, and kind of like that whole 70s spy vibe thing, you know, I could see him doing all of that intricate stuff too. Like I could see him trying to work it out. I'm also curious, like, was it in Henry's handwriting? Like, I don't feel like that was, when you look at the letter.
Yeah, it was cursive. It wasn't Dean's
I don't feel like that's Dean's handwriting. So maybe somehow he got the letter. Okay.
He could have he could do what he wanted. He could fake handwriting. He's in heaven.
Well, I don't know if Jack would let him be able to do all that.
Jack didn't know.
He gets himself into a lot of trouble. He gets himself into a lot of trouble without all this extra like ability. I don't know if we'd want to like, oh, Dean, you could do all of these things now.
That's the whole point. Jack didn't know. Bobby was like, okay, I said I'd help, but also, sorry.
So
Jack didn't know.
Maybe I'm gonna go with maybe he didn't. I just don't feel like he wrote the letter, but maybe he knew in this. I don't know if he could know in this timeline or not but he knew how things were going to happen, maybe. And so maybe he was able to get in touch with the men of letters or somebody who was still men of letters, get the letter and like say, well, I'm going to make sure that John gets the letter scenario. And I'm definitely not of Dean wrote it himself. I'm of somehow he got the letter somehow in one shape or form and then just kind of like moved things along a little bit quicker to get it to John. So, okay. Yeah. I'd be interested in knowing what other people might think about that. Okay. All right. Let me play because we're probably way ahead.
That was the whole point. This is this whole episode of our thoughts on the finale.
I know. Let's see what else you have to say because I'm interested.
Bitch. Seriously, giving us the fucking jigsaw monologue from Saw. Is that what's happening now? Humans waste a second chance at life. Is that what's fucking happening? Oh, fuck this show! I genuinely am truly in love with Carlos. I didn't think that would ever happen again, but I am. He is bae. I'm assuming Carlos is he. I know Jojo isn't.
Oh, goodness.
But he's the fucking bestest. I love him so much.
You are so ping-ponging back and forth.
Oh no! You've got to bear in mind there's like 5-10 minutes of show in between.
It's still so funny. It's still so funny. It's like
I was so mad. I was like, "Is this what's happening right now?" She's giving us the fucking jigsaw monologue. Really?
I've never seen those movies, so I will take your word. I will take your word for it. But it sounds like that one episode in season 15 anyway felt very Saw-ish with the one person deciding, who was going to get punished and all that stuff, the young girl and all that.
No, the first couple of Saws, not the as it went off the rails, but the first couple of Saws was just Jigsaw would pick people who he felt had wasted opportunities in their life.
Okay.
And put them in traps and things like that they would have to do something unpleasant to get out of. Put their hand in acid, like cut a key out of their eye, cut a key out of someone's guts, whatever. And the idea was that if you were willing to do these things to get out of the traps, that you knew what your life was worth, and you would go forward and make better opportunities. That was like, I think only one person, at least in the first few movies, ever made it out of the trap. And then she went along to work with Jigsaw anyway. But yeah, that was the whole point, that like, you've wasted your life, and you know, if you can go through this horrific thing, you'll get a second chance, and you'll be more appreciative of your life after you've had this second chance. And she was like, oh, you saved them and they're not even grateful. Shut up, you fanny. Shut up. That really pissed me off. But yeah, then I think the next scene was Carlos saying how ruggedly handsome Dean was, and I was like, I love him so much. He's bae. I love him. I do very much love Carlos.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, there's a lot of ping-ponging around, because on the one hand, I like the characters in the show. On the other hand, I fucking hate the show. It's a problem.
Yeah, it's the I think just the one I think that's what we come to time and time again. It's just like sometimes the overall storyline was just like they couldn't really decide like what these things were. Yeah, that was.
I know we talked about it in the group chat a bunch of times. This is a really mediocre show held up by a really good cast, and that's fine. There's plenty of mediocre shows out there. There's no law that says you can't be a mediocre show yet. When I come into power, there will be. But until then, it's fine. So, but I've said that all along. It's a show at best, and it's held up by a really incredible cast.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They make you want to keep sticking in there and seeing what's happening. I
will watch anything they do after this. Anything JoJo does after this. They are cemented now. You are now cemented in my, I will give anything that you do a chance. Because, and they can sing, and they take care of the hair, and they wear leather jackets, and they get emotional and run off stage and hug people. I'm all in for it. I love it. Love. Big fan. God. Hashtag Team Carlos. Hashtag Team JoJo.
All right, let's see what we got.
There's a complete aside here. 15 seasons of Supernatural. And I think the boys got tattooed in like season 2, maybe. After Sam got possessed, I think. And in all that time, nobody was ever able to just take those tattoos away. Even Lucifer, even Crowley, even whoever. Nobody was able to come along and go, oh, look, these are useless. So that's dumb. Because what is the point in going, oh, if you get this tattoo, then the Accreta that we have renamed demons to cannot possess you. But this super high powerful one Accreta can just take it away. I don't hate this show. It's so dumb.
I genuinely must have sat there for like a good minute or two, like, nobody did anything to the tattoos. Nobody did. Because, you know, sometimes when you've read so much fanfic that it blurs the line, and you're like, shit, did that happen or did it not? Because I've read a lot of fanfic where the tattoos get damaged and then they get possessed and stuff like that. But I'm like, no. They had to take Sam's tattoo away for Crowley to possess him when he was possessed by
They had to do like did they do like a
Gadriel.
poker or something on him to like mess it up or something unnecessarily harsh, and then he had to get it redone? I'm so confused with the Gadriel thing.
I think it's been damaged. I know they had to take it away for Crowley to possess him. It's been damaged. But nobody, no monster or entity was powerful enough to just come and wipe it away like the Queen does with Lata. And just like, well, that's useless. That was what annoyed me, because she'd come and she'd like, you know, she'd cut her skin or something to like break it. That would have been one thing. That would have been fine. But these feel like, knowing what we know now, it feels like Chuck just made like all-powerful monsters, and they can possess people, and they can do this, and they can do that, but it's boring.
Yeah.
If they don't have a weakness, that's dumb.
Because then you have to pick and choose, kind of like with Cass. Did Cass take Sam's tattoo away before Karlee could get into him? Was it Cass that did that?
He might have done.
I think so. Yeah. So yeah, it just you have to find ways to make them vulnerable. Like first you give them all the power, and then as a writer, like with Cass, time and time again, like they kept being like, first he was this angel that could do everything, but then there was always some season that he couldn't do for some reason, like he'd gotten injured or something had happened, and like he couldn't fly, or he could do this, or he couldn't do that.
Season 10, Dean's a demon and Cass is losing his grace, and Sam has to be the one to hold the season together.
Yeah.
I love that little cartoon.
Yeah.
No, it just I don't know, it just struck me as like you could have gone about that in a more canon consistent way. Just waste the magic fucking soul crystal on the one Ocarina that was possessing Latte. Is that what just happened? What? I fucking hate this show. Oh my god, they have swords! I'm so in love right now.
Oh my god, I love that. Yeah, somebody had made a comment that, and I don't know if this is, I'm guessing, but somebody said that the Winchesters, they never used guns in the season. The hunters.
No, they didn't, I don't think.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I hadn't clocked that either, but somebody's like, did anybody notice the hunters never used a gun? So it's like, oh, okay, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed that, to be fair.
Yeah, the swords were cute.
Yeah, no, I was just like, oh my god, swords. You hear me bitching again in a minute. Like, it doesn't take long.
Okay. All right, let's see.
Carlos isn't Sam's dad, actually. The sass is real. Oh god, she has a sword. Diary went into the box, not John's diary, I'm assuming. Oh, there she is! With the original license plate!
That was, I do not know why a car can do these things to my heart and soul, but I was so excited.
Oh, I was to
see baby.
That was literally, I had the phone in my hand for the whole episode, so as soon as she came on screen, I was like, oh, there she is! There she is! I was so happy. Like, oh, fuck, there she is! And that's fucking song as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. It's from a, I think it might be like from A Bug's Life or something, but it's just, it's so good.
Yeah.
And then I was watching Mary drive it, like Dean would be furious. Stop driving her like that. What are you doing?
So I was saying to Ted, I'm assuming would Jensen have used his car? Because I feel like he used baby in pilot, but then I'm like, but I don't know about like all the driving and stuff like that. To me, I'm like, would he be okay with, using it for all those other things?
I said that. I was like, I bet that's Jensen's baby. Mm-hmm. And then Mary started driving it and there were sparks and things. And I was like, that's definitely not Jensen's car. Absolutely not. But then, it probably was actually, because I remember a con from a little while ago now with Jensen saying that his and Jared's Impalas were in the same shop in Texas getting put back together because they'd been stripped of everything that the boys could fuck around with on the show. I let everything out. Absolutely everything. If we messed with it, they took it out.
Aww.
So they're both actually in functional driving condition now. So it probably was Jensen's Impala that was used, and he was probably standing off screen. If this, I'm sure the sparks were like VFX or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever Mary was doing to make her do that, he was probably standing off screen, biting a knuckle, going "fucking hell."
So,
do you have any idea how much that carries worth?
Did you see the tweet from Meg Donnelly saying she had to get her license to drive baby? For that,
no,
she didn't. I
don't follow her.
No, I do. I follow her and Drake, and she made a comment. I think the day after, or maybe that night of, that she had to get her license to be able to do that to do that scene, like driving baby. And I was just like, oh, Ted's like, isn't she older? She should. I said, honey, I said, do you know how many people who don't necessarily get their licenses as soon as they turn 16? I'm like, you would be surprised. It's not necessarily a rite of passage, I feel like, anymore the way it was,
Not
20 or 30
anymore,
years ago. It's just not. And
I mean, she's
in her 20s. Yeah,
she's
she's in her
only
early
22.
20s. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, God, Sandra, she was born in 2000. Oh, fucking hell, I was nearly in high school in 2000.
Okay, I'm not talking about how old I was in 2000. I was much older in 2000.
Yes. Fuck.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I'm so upset. I'm so upset. Oh, what the fuck? Is she married?
No, I don't.
Is she married?
I don't think so. No, I thought
born, oh God, she's actually called Meg. It's not short for Megan. That surprises me.
Yeah, but I could totally see Jensen being like,
no, I don't think she is.
Being all like very protective of the car in whatever way, shape, or form it was being used on set.
Oh yeah, no, I genuinely.
There.
I can just see him standing behind the camera with like Dean's murder eyes, just like, if you fuck my car up. Oh.
When she tweeted that, all I kept thinking about was our chat about who's driving the Impala.
It's not Meg.
He could have literally been in the back seat as she was driving, just to make sure.
Yeah. I genuinely.
I loved seeing. I love how they like just made this grand introduction for her. And it kind of like, it just harkened back to Chuck's whole, like, how important this car was in Swan Song, when he does his whole talks about baby. And it's like, I feel like no matter what universe, now that we know it was a different universe, how important she is to all of these different worlds. Like, this is just a thing Chuck did, like at least made sure that, like, did every Sam and Dean have a baby? Like, that's my curiosity question too. Like, does baby make a cameo in every version? And stuff?
She everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling down her Twitter feed now. A little SpongeBob memes for the final episode. That's cute as fuck. I love it. Oh, she's retweeting. They're not her. She's retweeting other people's memes.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're dead ass fucking cute though. I love that. I love that I had to get my license to drive baby for those.
Mm-hmm.
I got my license for this episode to drive baby real fast, and let's just say I almost peed my pants. Oh, cute. I get it though. I get it.
Yeah.
She's so fucking cute. I love it. Yeah.
Aww.
No, anyway, I was ridiculously fucking hyped for the car. I was super hyped. I was like, oh my God, there she is. Yeah. No, I did have visions of him just being like, my car. Do not even with my car.
I hope at the next conventions, people ask questions about this episode for him. Like, like actually ask, like, these questions, because these are questions I want answers to, like, about this finale. We'll see if it happens.
Shut the fuck up right now. They're gonna use the fucking car to kill the queen. What the piss? Oh, that was such a beautiful moment. There she was, and then they just fucking ruined it. I'm all in for Mary's last ride and everything.
I think that's when they
oh God.
I can't even remember what that fucking ruined it bit was. She was, and they fucking ruined it. I can't remember.
The woman is kind of sword fighting with John, so I don't know how anybody thinks that's going to go down. Like the fact that the Accretor wiped out the Men of Letters, though. That answers a nice little niggling question from Supernatural. I'm a fan. What? She just drove into the pot. What the fuck? Oh my fucking God, there he is. Also, who told Tom Welling he could act? I feel like...
Oh, who told Tom?
I was a roller coaster. I'm genuinely blushing. I'm genuinely blushing.
This is so why I wanted to hear these reactions, because I was like, I knew they were going to be gold when I listened to them again. I was like, I gotta hear it.
Because I knew I could, like, you could tell by the silhouette. You could tell by the silhouette when she came back through the portal, and I was like, not Mary.
Yeah, Ted's like, oh, that's not her driving. He clocked it.
Like
right?
I said, I think Hobbs might have been like a pretty done with me at that point. So, and also, it's coming up soon. I turn to him and ask him something, and he just like shakes his head, and I'm like, "Are you not going to talk?" And he's like, "Mm," and just shakes his head, and I'm like, "This audio might not even get used." But I spoke to him afterwards, and then like off audio, and then like recapped his thoughts on audio because he didn't want his voice on the podcast. But no, he didn't speak because he didn't know when I was going to hit record. So. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's great. That's great.
That was an error. He's been terrible in this whole episode. It's like that "look, Scott" moment from the fucking bloopers. It's terrible. I dead ass thought he was going to tell them all who he was then. Genuinely. I don't know what to say. It was Chuck. Ah! Dead. His little smirk and nose crinkle. Like, he's never played by the rules a day in his life, and he's still not. I'm so happy. Shit, I wish I'd been recording then. I genuinely yelled when Jack appeared. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, right. First of all, I want to just say, Alex is significantly younger than Jensen, and obviously Jack's vessel is younger than Dean. He still looks like he doesn't portray like a projection of power. Like when you see the boys, they look powerful. Even just physically, they look powerful. But Alex is just this little guy, and he's cute. You know, like you're like, oh, Alex, baby. And every time I see Alex from your photo op with his hoodie and his trainers and his hair and his shoulders. So I don't even see like grown man Alex. I see shoved into the photo teenage Alex, even though he wasn't a teenager.
Yeah.
But it's the way that he's not portraying any kind of like power or influence or anything. If you were looking at that from the outside, you'd be like, oh, I wonder who that is. And Dean is literally like shoulders around his ears, like, yeah, but I'm sorry. Because Jack's just really mildly like, I told you, do not do this. And you have gone and done the thing. And he, swear to God, Dean's shoulders round his ears, just like, but Sam, Amaya.
Yeah. Did you feel like there was, I felt like there was a little bit, I did feel a change in how Alex was portraying Jack. Like I felt like the innocence was gone a little bit more, like, and I mean, I love the hand going up, like with like Carlos, like, and Carlos, like, you know, does that, but not like the hello part like he used to do. And just him kind of trying to scold Dean felt different than what he would have ever done before. So yeah, he's mildly scolding, but not saying, you know, it's different. It definitely felt like a shift. Like, I think the gravity of what he has to do now is, you know, has definitely changed him. So I did feel that even in just like a couple of his, just, he only had a few lines to say, but I did sense a shift in Jack very much, you know, kind of like he's the dad now. You've got to report to, or you've got to, like, you know, when you do something bad, Dean's very much, I'm not going to ask for permission. I'm going to ask for forgiveness. Like that's kind of how he's doing it. You know, like how Bobby was like, well, you know, I told you I'd find a way, but unfortunately,
no,
I do involve Jack.
Holy shit. Alex is older than me. And I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, he was born in 1990. So he's a year older than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he was younger than me. He did such a good job then in Supernatural of playing like a younger person than he actually was. But yeah, no, he's not done something fucking insane like had children between Supernatural ending and this, and he's got that dad energy now, has he? Is that what's happened?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think so, no.
No, but
There's nothing
it
on his
definitely felt
Wikipedia.
different. Yeah, it felt different to me, and I'm glad that he showed that, a little bit of a change because I just feel like there's no way he could stay Jack, like the Jack that we remembered. And that means
Yeah.
that means Amara's still brewing around in there too. Maybe, or maybe he split. Maybe he's like, yeah, well, let you do your thing too. I'm not thinking so though. But yeah, I was just like,
Interesting.
as soon as I saw Jack too, I was like, and Ted was like, oh, I was like,
I was genuinely, when the camera cut over and there he was, Bobby, I was like, I'm a child. I was very excited.
So I think at this point is when all the pieces started to come together too, that it wasn't the same universe and all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, my feelings! And we got the answer to where Sam is, what's happening. And you can mark me, there is 10 minutes left of this episode, but you can mark me happy because that is the only reason I would accept that Sam wasn't here for this. I said that when we talked about the pilot. That's okay. That's okay. If Jack is now going to come along and undo all of this, though, I am going to be so pissed. The song.
Yeah. So that didn't happen. Yeah.
The song when he's like, it's time to get to there'll be peace when you are done part of the song, and I was like, oh, that's the first time it's ever been referenced. There's never referenced in Supernatural. It's just played over the season finales, apart from the last one.
That's true.
But it's they never referenced it, and I was like, oh fuck! I was fun.
I can't. I have so many feelings.
Okay, so at this part, what had happened? Had you seen all of it at that point when you said you had so many feelings?
No, I think that might have been after. That's just before Dean, Bobby, Jack, and Baby disappeared, because I remember getting really mad about that.
Okay, gotcha.
But no, also, I think that's just in relation to, I think that's just in relation to like all the pieces falling into place, and like knowing where Sam is and what Dean's been doing,
and the fact that Dean's been doing it for Sam.
Oh, do you know what that is as well? That's Dean going over to John and Mary and giving them the journal and the Colt. After Jack goes, if you're gonna meddle, finish it properly. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah. So you were right about the journal. Good call.
Well, I wasn't, because it's not our John, is it?
But still, you were right about that. This is Dean giving John the journal that's going to be his Hunter journal. It's just not the same universe, but still,
yeah,
it's a good call. I was like, the one thing Ted and I were so pissed about was like, has nobody looked in this journal? Like, when they we're like, hello, they're just like, look in the journal. See what's in the journal. Like, there's no reference about anything that's mentioned in it. Not until after. Like, my thing was, as they were working on figuring out what to do, it didn't look like anybody looked in the journal for any clues as to what was going on. Like, it just didn't happen. And that bothered me.
Well, you see, the thing is that the journal that we saw Dean writing in? Because I didn't think that was a monster hunting journal. I thought that was just a journal of John and Mary. So maybe there's nothing in there to tell them.
Yeah, but even if there is anything to tell them, I feel like you saw him writing in it, right? Like, I'm assuming that's the same journal they showed in the pilot. He was writing in that journal. He was writing something. So, like, was he writing stuff about the Akrita? Or, like, was he writing what he was finding out? Or, like, those kinds of things. Like, those would have been, you would have opened that sucker up and, like, looked at it, looked inside it. There was no mention of that until towards the end, like when Mary said she was looking through his journal. Why didn't you do that before? It just didn't. That just bothered me. I'm so
happy right now is Mary asks Dean, did you find any of your family that that had a good life? And he's like, I think I might have. And I was like, oh, my feelings.
Yeah. What did you think about Jensen's hair and how they tried to finagle it back?
They tried to Dean it a little bit. I was a fan. I liked his clothes. better in the end than I did in the start. Because in the start, I was like, but he's still Dean. But you like, I always forget that Dean really likes to play dress up.
Yeah, he
and
really
I should remember
does.
that more. But I always forget that. And then
he does a lot more than Sam does. Like Sam's always like, do we, like that kind of thing. Like, do we have to? And Dean's like, yep. Like the cowboy stuff.
Isn't that interesting how that shakes out though? When you think about the first episode and Sam makes them dress up as, I can't remember what they are.
Oh, they do the
electricians
suits.
Or something. And he's like,
yeah,
no, they're dressed up in like workman's clothes.
Oh, yeah,
and he goes, me and Dad got by just fine. Why do we have to dress up like this?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
but see,
really
then he's like, no, I'm
into
it. And he gets into it. He likes it. He does. Oh gosh. Yeah, no, I was so happy about all of it. Like the way it started too. I was like, oh yes, my heart. As soon as he mentioned Sam, I was like, thank you, Jesus. I was like, thank you.
I have the same issue with this. It's a similar issue, but I have the same issue with this as I did with 1520. If they'd have ended it here, I'd have been really happy.
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy at this bit. I was like, yes, perfect, good, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if they'd have done this and then done like a post-credit scene for what was going to happen to John and Mary next, that would have been okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, there should have been a mark of delineation between the ending and then the camera pulling back to the whole crew on the bridge, because I don't like what happens after this ending.
You don't?
I'm not a fan.
You don't?
I'm not a fan.
Okay. All right. Are you okay? I'm guessing you're going to express it in your. Yeah. So from here on out, it's like no.
I'm not. Yeah, let's just listen because I can't remember all the things I said.
Okay.
I'm a huge fan of Dean being told off by Jack because it's fucking hilarious. Also, I've actually just noticed that Dean is dressed properly now. None of the turtleneck bullshit. I don't think he's dead. I'm iffy on the coat, but he seems to be dressed a little bit more like a hunter this time. I'm confused. I'm confused. This John and Mary that Dean just gave the journal and the cult to, are they supernaturals, John and Mary? Because they were whittering on about the multiverse. So they can't be our universe as John and Mary. Are you just not going to speak? They can't be, because he's just fucking Terminator loopholed everything if that's the case. I'm confused. There's 5 minutes left, so maybe I'll get an answer. One last rock alias. I knew it was going to be James as soon as he said Hetfield. I know who Metallica is.
I did not.
Did you not?
And Ted looks at me, and even Ted looks at me, goes, "Do you know who that is?" I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
I don't always get all of the references because Dean's taste in music does not run to my taste. Mm-hmm. Like I like classic rock, but I don't like Zeppelin and Aerosmith and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I know some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, who could forget Agent Beyonce? But as soon as he went Hetfield and I went James, exactly the same time as Dean did, because I was like, I know who that is.
Gotcha.
I love that you didn't know, and Ted just figured out like, what?
Ted's like, He was expecting me to know. He's like, okay, what's that name been referring to? I said, I don't know. He's like, you don't know? I'm like, I don't know.
Did Ted not know either?
No, Ted didn't either. I mean,
I thought Ted was into my kind of music.
He is.
I know that I'm not into Metallica, but I know who James Hetfield is.
I'm sure he's probably into that music, but not as like who's in the band kind of situation, like that kind of thing. I think
oh right, yeah.
I think he's only like his main. He could probably tell me who's in Nine Inch Nails because I think that was like his band growing up. But aside from that, I don't think anybody else would register. Maybe a couple other bands, but no Metallica. If he just looked at me like, what's this? What's that name? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, really? I'm guessing it's music related.
I really think they picked someone because they've done a lot of rock aliases over the years, and I think they deliberately went with someone that a majority of people would know as well. Because
I'm also older, and I'm like, I'm so behind. Even like 90s stuff. Like I wasn't Yeah, I wasn't like necessarily like rock, I was more pop and stuff and that kind of thing. So yeah.
Well, now you know. Now you know it's
Now I
Metallica.
know. Now I know. And I only know that because I was like, somebody on Twitter is going to know. I don't need to look this stuff. I'll just see you later. So that's how that worked out. Okay, so let's see what else is going on.
I was close, though. I would have been good if he'd have told him. Oh, I'm back to the terrible CGI. I forgot to mention it on the Accreta portal, but it's bad. So we just finished. He thinks that this John and Mary is not the supernatural John and Mary. And that's why Dean said that Sam was still on his Earth. I think probably Camp Multiverse as well. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about that ending with them just driving off like that. I don't know, I didn't get a great deal of closure from that. Like, the stuff with Dean, Jack, and Bobby, that was good. That answered all of my questions that I've had since the pilot. And I said it before on this clip, but I said it before as well. Sam still being alive and Dean being in heaven is the only way I would have accepted Dean being in this story and Sam not. And you know what? Tying it all back into Chuck, and I didn't even pick up the reference when Lata said that the Accreta were made by an angry god as a failsafe. I didn't even pick that reference up until Dean, kind of laid all that out. So, all that, great. Millie and the Scooby Gang, also fucking great. John and Mary riding off into the sunset.
Yes.
I don't know, that's weak sauce. I think it would have been better if they'd split up, to be fair. I know they're supposed to be, like, destined or whatever. There was the cherub thing in My Bloody Valentine in season 5. But I don't know. Overall, I will give the show, like, a C. It was fine. It lost me quite a few times, but overall, I feel like it's shaken out okay. If we'd have ended it with the terrible CGI of Dean, Jack, and Bobby and the car vanishing, that would have been alright. I don't know. I was a huge, huge fan of Carlos 100% wanting to bang Dean, though. So, like, amen, Carlos. We're all with you there, babe. So, yeah, I guess I'm going to wrap this up. Nearly 12 minutes of audio for a 40-minute show. And, yeah, I'll rewatch it with Sandra on Friday and chat IRL in real time about it. So, yeah.
Interesting. So I am definitely of the same mindset that I didn't like the AU, right? Like, knowing it was an alternate universe would not have been my preference. But the fact that they had to establish why Dean was without Sam, I totally get. I'm fully on board with. I do like.
Mm-hmm.
See, I feel like if you were going to end it, like you said, with the Dean part and then a post credit, then it's no longer the Winchesters. It's Dean's story. So I liked that they don't know if this show is going to get renewed, right? So I like that they put a lid on it, close the book. John and Mary are going on whatever their next adventure is, whatever's ahead, kind of how they wrapped up 1519. And I think we would have all been, well, not all of us, because some people really would have been okay with Supernatural ending that way. So if it ends this way with them, I was okay with it. And I loved that they, all the fan service to Driver Picks the Music, Shotgun Shoots a Cakehole, and the fact that they put in Ramble On. And as soon as I heard it, and I was like, and Ted's like, what? I'm like, this is Dean's favorite song. He's like, what are you talking about? So I'm like,
yeah, I had to tell. I was like, this is not a reference that you will get, but that is one of Dean's favorite songs. And because I actually opened it up with, I fucking hate this song because I hate Ramble On. I don't like Led Zeppelin at all. I've tried so hard.
Just that it's Dean's and it wraps
Yeah.
up, and it's one of those things too where it's just like, Jensen was like, and Robbie could have been too, because Robbie Thompson wrote it, and Robbie Thompson's one of the executive producers. Robbie Thompson could have been like, we got to try to get Ramble on, like we got to try to do that. But I feel like it was a combined, effort that this is how, if we're gonna, like, I feel like if Supernatural, if Jensen had his, it's like, if we're gonna go driving, I want us driving off into the sunset with Ramble on. They couldn't afford it back then.
Yes.
Jensen figured something out to get that song played here for his own benefit. And I was saying to Ted, I said, if we don't get another season, I'm okay with this, because I feel like this ends things in a way that I'm much happier with than the way 1520 ended. There's possibility. There's life for Dean beyond death kind of thing, even though I know there was with Sam and Dean in heaven, but this feels like his purpose is back. The saving people, hunting things, like I feel like he gave up too easy in 1520, and I don't feel like that was Dean. This is Dean always doing something first and foremost for Sam's benefit, and then to make sure that if he has a chance to try to save the world, he's going to do it. He's going to go for it, and that's what he did here too. Like he nudged things. He got himself a part of that. So I loved all that. Yeah, I love the song. I kind of felt like it had that hope to it that I don't know. I feel like we got taken away from us in 1520, if that makes sense. In my mind, that's kind of what I felt. And if they bring it back, I totally want them to time jump like 3 to 4 years. We got to get like a baby Dean in there, and then we got to get a baby Sam. Like if they're coming back, I want it to be like a hunting family, and I want us to see their versions of little Sam and Dean's in this world that isn't necessarily apocalyptic, but like I'd watch that. I want to see that. I want to see the family that we didn't get, if that makes sense. I'd like to see a family dynamic that we didn't get to see in Supernatural, even if it's not our Sam and Dean. I would like to see that, but like that's what I would want them to do. It's just like time jump a few years and get to the next part. I will say all of that. What bothers me more is that one episode that I took we talked about with the Trickster and the cameo by Loudon Swain, because it makes me think that I think I was right in that it just was Trickster. It wasn't Gabriel. But why put Rob Benedict in there as a cameo? Like, why do that? Why do that if obviously Chuck wasn't Chuck anymore, if the Akritas doing their thing, right? Because it was the failsafe of they're wiping out the world. So I feel like you put a cameo in there that wasn't necessary. Like the Chuck thing really bothered me. Putting Rob Benedict in, I feel like, okay, I'll give you Trickster or whatever. But to me, this timeline would have been going in a different direction anyway, that wouldn't have been Archangel related in any way, shape, or form, and Chuck shouldn't have been there. So that bothers me.
I don't know.
I
don't think it was ever meant to be Chuck. I think it was just
but you can't
Rob.
You can't put.
They tried really hard to disguise him.
But
it
my
wasn't
thing
like he was like.
Yeah, but you can't. You could get away with Rowena. You could get away with Trickster. You could get away with different characters. You can't get away with cameoing Rob Benedict, because everybody's going to think Chuck. Everybody's going to think Chuck. I feel like that was almost like what do they call that? Not a mulligan. Thing weird, like, it's throwing you off. It's making you think something that's absolutely not related. And I didn't like that. I felt like that wasn't needed. Like I feel like You could have brought him. If you're going to have a second season, then you could have brought them in as a cameo, just as Rob Benedict, because there's no Chuck, right? Like there's no Chuck anymore in this one. So that bothered me. That bothered me a little bit because I felt like there was so much. I'm not the only one that was going like, what does this mean? And I feel like you're kind of like, you're doing a bait and switch with the people that do know about everything going on with Chuck and how he liked to insert himself, into the narrative. And to me, that felt like he was inserting himself, even if it was just supposed to be Rob Benedict with Loudon Swain. So yeah, that bothered me. But no, I loved that song. I actually had to go back and show Ted. I said, okay. I know which episode that Dean references this song. He's like, okay. So I went back, found the scene, played it, and he's like, okay. I'm like, see, I just wanted to tell you this is one of his favorite songs.
Look, see, this is a reference, is relevant. It came immediately after me going, I fucking hate this song. And he was like, what? And I'm like, oh, it's one of Dean's favorite songs, and I've tried so hard, and I fucking hate it, and I genuinely do. I've tried so hard to listen and like Ramble On and Traveling Roadside Blues, and I'm just, Zepp ain't for me, man. I don't know. I'm wherever you had to be, get on the Led Zeppelin train. Yeah. I wasn't there.
I
missed it.
I like that they made the driver reference and the shotgun reference and all of that stuff. Just kind of like, and I like that there's still, the opportunity of the hunter. The hunting group is going to continue, kind of thing. So Millie
and the Scooby Gang.
Yeah. So if they just, like I said, if they end it, I'm okay with it ending here. Like, I feel like it had to do something that kind of like made the fans go, but what now, kind of thing. And I've been reading stuff now. Go ahead.
I think Jensen's been talking about season 2 though. So even if CW don't pick it up, I think he's going to take it somewhere else. I don't think this is the end of the show.
Yeah, I think
it just might not be on CW anymore. Which
I think would be
because
he
has.
I think would be better.
Yeah, maybe. I definitely saw something about him saying people were asking him, well, what about this character? What about this character? And he was like, wait for season 2. That was proof of concept.
What are your thoughts about? Because I know everybody was hoping Cass, right? Like Cass was going to come.
God, no.
So I know.
Ask me. I have the badge. I am president of the We Hate Misha fan club. So, and you're like, well, would you like it if they brought Misha's character back? No.
So my thinking is though, like if they, all of the fandom, all of the stuff about Dean and Cass together on screen, to me feels like it would have literally obliterated anything involving this storyline. So I feel like if they're going to bring it back at some point where, Dean has to have that tail end of that conversation with Cass, however that shakes out, whatever that looks like, it's not going, it didn't need to happen here. Like it would have been too much. Nobody would have been talking about anything involving the show. It would have been that. And I feel that, I think there's been like some talk that, I don't know if you probably didn't see this because it's Misha related, but that Jensen said that, or Misha said that in an interview that Jensen had been trying to get Misha to come onto the Winchesters as Cass, but things didn't work out scheduling wise. And vice versa, Jensen was supposed to end up on Gotham Knights as Batman. And that didn't work out because of scheduling stuff that was going on. And I'm kind of okay with that because isn't Batman supposed to be dead? So wouldn't it have just been a flashback or something? So
I personally think I would have been really angry if Misha had been in the Winchesters, but Jared wasn't. I would have been really mad about that because it's Sam and Dean's story first and foremost. But also, I think don't hate me. don't exit out of the Zoom call. You know, don't block me on Twitter or anything. I think this now should be the end of Jensen's on-camera involvement with this show as well.
Mm-hmm. No, I get that too. I think so too.
No more camera, no more Dean, no more voiceovers, nothing. They needed something to tie this to Supernatural. They needed to make that link.
Yeah.
That's fine. They've made it now.
Now they've explained what's going on. Yeah.
Let them go.
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
I think watching the kind of Monster of the Week episodes, and because obviously there's more of them, and they have different methods to how Sam and Dean hunted, I thought it was really interesting. Like Lata stuff, the gin stuff that she did with Roxy to make her remember, like that was cool. You know, they're all coming from different places. Yeah. I'm happy to see that. Yeah. I'm happy to see where this universe is John and Mary go. Does Mary go to college? Does she graduate? Do they have Sam and Dean? You know, I'm happy to see these characters. They don't need that link anymore. Yeah. They're established in their own right. Let them go.
I agree. And wouldn't it be fun if they had like girls instead of boys, you know, and the girls ended up being hunters, you know, like different things. Like they could do anything with it now. No, I agree too. I think if they keep relying on Dean to come back, then it's not the Winchesters anymore. Like you said, they had to do that connective tissue, and then you've got to like let the kids grow up and figure themselves out, just like they're supposed to be doing on the show. So yeah, no, I wouldn't expect him to come back. That would be, they could have other characters come back. I mean, technically they probably could with the time frame and stuff. You know, you could see a young Bobby. Could have
me,
you know,
young Bobby, Rufus. Could meet Pastor Jim even. You know, things like that. But I'm like, I want Millie and the Scooby Gang. I could take a leave. I could take a leave of John and Mary because I don't particularly like this version of Mary either. But I want the Supernatural was such a boys' show. Girls only really existed to be rescued as damsels in distress, killed for an emotional heartstring, or just to be used or manipulated in some way. Yeah. Whereas this one, we've got John's mum, Ada, Lata, you know? Let me see the girls kick some ass. That's what I want.
And I'm so glad it answered like all those questions. Like, cause I was like, but this doesn't make sense because Millie's supposed to be married in the, like, you say hi to your dad and all this other stuff. And like, I remembered all that. And I'm like, okay, now certain things like, why does Samuel have so much hair? Well, because it's not the same Samuel. So it's like, okay, those things are established. I understand now, like, there's no more of the hypothesizing about how it relates to Supernatural. It's now, what's the show going to be? Yeah. So no, I agree. I wouldn't, because I kind of feel like if Dean's going to come back, I want Dean to come back again in a Supernatural. Like I want that. I want him with Sam next. Like I want them together again. That's what I want to see next.
Yeah. I think it was a really good show to tie up. The show shouldn't have to exist just to tie up some of the loose endings for Supernatural. But I like the way that they, you know, it tied up a little bit more of the Chuck thing with him having a tantrum and, well, here are the Winchesters to fucking fix it again. You know, the Jack thing, you know, what Dean was doing while he was waiting for Sam. It tied up a lot of plot threads from Supernatural that they were like, it didn't tie up any of the big ones, but you know, it did enough. But now I'm like, you've done this thing and you've given it all the foundation it needs. Let it go. Show us some. You know, we don't know anything about John's mum from Supernatural. Tell us about that. You know, as much as I think Tom Welling is not a great actor, maybe he was having an off day, I don't know. Tell us about that. Let's see Mary's mum. You know, let's see this expanded place. Now you've established it's not linked to our world anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you've you know, the Dean, Dean as the mystery man is firmly resolved now. We know who he was. We know what happened. He's gone back to heaven.
Yeah.
Jack is probably keeping at least half an eye on him at all times now, just in case. You know, you don't need that.
Or he's yelling at Cass and going, "You were supposed to watch him." And we know how good of a babysitter Cass is. So that kind of explains a lot too. Yeah.
I have this vision of Jack just running heaven from the back of the Impala. He's just like, he's moved his whole invisible office now, and he's like, "You're not doing this again, Winchester. I will watch you until your brother gets here." All the time. Yeah. But now I just, let it go. You've got this really great cast. Let him go.
Yeah.
Let's find out who John is going to turn into. Let's find out who Mary is.
Oh my God, the one thing.
Into.
Did you see it? John said the word therapy. I was so happy when he said that towards the end. Like,
we need therapy, Winchesters.
I was like, yes. I was like, this has the possibility of not being, that dad, that ends up, all the things because of, again, like we get the bits and pieces. Go ahead.
I've just had a thought.
Oh God.
We've talking about Supernatural reboot for like fucking ages.
Yeah.
What if they reboot in this universe where Sam and Dean grew up healthy and normal? That'd be interesting.
So then we get a totally different. Then I don't want that. I want to see how Sam.
No, I like them broken and angsty.
No. But I'm saying, like, if you're going to deal with the Winchesters, show me the Sam and Dean in the Winchesters. But when Supernatural comes back, I want our Sam and Dean. I want them.
Okay. Yeah.
I want them personally. I hope they don't do what you just said.
Oh well, it might happen now. You don't know.
But no, I get that. But I'm just all about, like, I want to see what the kids are like with John and Mary. Like, I want to see that. Whatever. Maybe we don't get a Sam and Dean, maybe we don't. Even though I think we probably would, but maybe we don't. But like a Sam and Dean that, like I said, 2 girls would be great. Sam and Deanna would make
Samantha and Deanna. Oh. I hate that name so much.
But they would call her, they'd call her Dean for short. And maybe who knows? Like, but again, like, that's kind of pipe dreaming it too. And the goal, I would, like I said, if it doesn't get renewed, I'm okay with it. But if they renew it, I think that's great. But I don't want it to. It's kind of like I want it to get renewed, but I don't want it to be on the CW. I just don't. I think they could do so many better things. Even like you were talking about the CG. CG could be so much better on another like a streaming service. I mean, they were saying they spend $1 million per episode for the Winchesters. That's the budget. And that's what they did with $1 million. Lots of shows get a little bit more than that on other streaming services and stuff like that. And if I'm still just very glad that I stand by it. Jensen wanted to fix it. Jensen found the best writer he could find and said, we're going to fanfic this shit. And we're going to give Dean the ending and the closure that I think he knew deep down. If he wasn't okay with it, a majority of the fandom wasn't okay with it either. So I'm really glad that he was able to do this. Like, I feel like it just makes me happy to know this part of it. And Dean wasn't just like the driving around thing, I think really bothered me. I understand he was waiting for Sam, but it's like, I just don't see him. It makes more sense. He wouldn't have been okay, especially if he found out or new information. He wouldn't be okay with any of that. So he did all that stuff. And then he was like, okay, now I can relax for a little bit. This piece when you are done thing. Okay. But he's never really done is my thing. Like, I just don't see Sam or Dean ever just being really done with Supernatural. Like, they just can't do it. you've seen it when they talk about they need to take some time off, they need to relax. They do it for like 5 minutes and then they're like, gotta get back into it, gotta find something, you know?
Yeah. Overall, though, it had some highs and it had some lows.
Mm-hmm.
And it shakes out to like a, like a C average.
Yeah,
it's okay.
I think so. I mean, the fact that I couldn't remember a lot of the stuff that was happening in different episodes, again, because like I would only watch them once and I was just like, I was like you, I was enjoying the characters. So the Monster of the Week stuff I usually dip out of anyway. So even if it ends up relating to the myth arc, I don't always catch it because it's like I should probably pay attention more in those episodes. Even in Supernatural, there's things that they drop that usually relate to the overall plot, and I always tend to miss it and have to go back and I'm like, oh, that's okay. Now they explain that there and I didn't notice that kind of thing. So yeah. Okay, so we're going to wrap up this episode. If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at idlingintheimpala@gmail.com or reach out to us on Twitter at idlingintheletterdImpala. If you'd like to make your voicemail, check the description for a link to send us a voice message. You can find links to our personal socials and our AO3 accounts in the description. And there's also a link to my author website and my original fiction.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, leave us a comment if you want to. Please leave us comments. We like comments. Come engage with us, guys. Check the description for the current causes that we are championing and links to them. And with that, we will say thank you for joining us in the backseat, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.